We are still discussing the death of equality under the law in Chapter 4, page 46. The rule of law in the United States applying equally to all its citizenry. The rule of law in the United States applying equally to all its citizenry is a bedrock principle of our republic. And the case of Hillary Clinton in 2016 unequivocally demonstrated that equality under the law has been abandoned, as it is revealed there are clearly some people outside the reach of any law. And if you didn't listen to the previous episode, I do implore you to go back and listen to that one. So moving from 2016, 4 years later, we were showered with case after case demonstrating that those in power like to create laws that they themselves never intended to abide by. So now these examples are footnoted in the book, but in brief, I got them from the Detroit News, the Chicago Tribune, Newsweek, the Associated Press, and public Facebook posts. Apparently, if they are executive orders they themselves issued, they firmly believe because they wrote the order, they would not be expected to follow it. In May 2020, Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer told Michiganders not to travel to northern Michigan for Memorial Day. Yet, her family did just that. Granted, when her plans got out, she publicly eased the restrictions. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker instituted a strict stay-at-home order, yet allowed his family to leave Illinois to stay at their $12 million estate in Florida, and then their farm in Wisconsin. Virginia Governor Ralph Northam made wearing masks mandatory, but was caught in public interacting with Virginians without a mask. New Mexico Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham told New Mexicans to stay home and only go out for essential items. Yet, she had a jewelry store open so she could get more jewelry. And these are just a few of the many May 2020 and only May of 2020 violations. Thanksgiving 2020 was by itself a smorgasbord of executive violations. The day before Thanksgiving, Denver Mayor Michael B. Hancock urged his constituents to remain in their households and refrain from travel during the holiday. Then, immediately boarded a plane to join his family in Mississippi. The mayor of San Jose, Sam Liccardo, attended a Thanksgiving gathering of 8 people from 5 households when state regulations limited a private household gathering to 3. The mayor of Austin posted a Facebook video on November 9th saying, quote, "We need to stay home if you can. Do everything you can to try to keep them numbers down. This is not the time to relax," end quote. He posted this after traveling to Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. Governor Andrew Cuomo implored New Yorkers to celebrate Thanksgiving with only their immediate households, but then announced on a radio program that his mother and 2 daughters would travel to Albany for the holiday. Then, in early December, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz had a local performer sing at his home, even though he issued an order that banned both indoor and outdoor social gatherings with anyone from another household, even if social distancing was practiced. He was not fined, nor did he spend any time in jail, the penalties outlined by his own order. I could not even find a news article calling him out. This list does not even include the memorable story of California Governor Gavin Newsom attending a large dinner with several couples outside his household at a restaurant in Napa Valley, even though California restrictions included avoiding social gatherings with mixed households. Nor can this list include every story that managed to make the news. Not to mention there were so many violations of this kind, not all of them even made the national news outlets where the American people might behold them. Stories and coverage focused on the idea that these government officials set bad examples, and, they usually apologize for doing so, but the apologies eventually stopped, and the fact they set a bad example is not what is at stake here. The rule of law is. The idea of a ruling elite deciding for everyone else what living life will look like while remaining immune to the rules themselves, should highlight the idea that we are no longer being governed by a constitution. And not in the book, but did you know that when the US government was mandating the COVID-19 vaccination for all workers, that they exempted themselves, congressional staff and legislators, from that very same mandate? I'm sure listeners can come up with even more examples, and I encourage you to share them in the comments. When the rulers see themselves as above the American people, above their constituents, and not one of them, the artificial conscience of the country must indeed be absent. As the threads are pulled out, the fabric continues to thin, and we should all be able to see the emperor's underwear through his pants. Yet many Americans would rather be on the winning side instead of calling out the obvious. The emperor has no clothes. And in fact, I think we now live in a time where the people are not embarrassed for the emperor. We don't care about how corrupt the government has gotten. We just want to be on the winning side. I also think we now live in a time where the emperor knows he's not wearing any clothes. He knows the people know he's naked even, but he's still not embarrassed. I think the corrupt government system might just be celebrating the fact that they are strutting their corruption, flaunting it in the face of the American people, and the American people don't even care. I've had people say that corruption has been worse in the past. I disagree. They used to try to hide their lies, hide their deceptions, hide their violations from the public. Corruption used to mean an end to a politician's career. Now, it could lead to a promotion. Now, the ruling class doesn't need to hide anything. The American people will either accept the easily disputable lie as truth, or they will celebrate the corruption too. They'll be celebrating the corruption itself, as long as they perceive themselves as being on the winning team or the winning side. Not only is the emperor naked, so is the citizenry. We have come undone.